So, good morning, everybody. We are struggling a little here with our tech. What might have to happen is might have to have Mike call my cell and then try to hold the cell through the speaker. We're gonna make it work somehow. But want to welcome everybody to our 10th and final of the winter webinar series. As Jonathan's admitting everybody, I can start us off here. I was going to go at the end, but I can certainly start. So our guest today, I've been saying it for the last couple sessions, is Mike Steinmetz. He's going to be talking to us all about personal fitness, how to make 2026 our fittest year ever. And we're very excited about that because the weather's changing, and I think this is a really fun ending one. Again, I will kick us off just to start here. So one of the things that was very important in this call is, as Mike and I were chatting, it was all about the power of community. And basically community, we have a beautiful section in the WPGA, and we keep each other honest with a lot of different things, and in our work, and how we mentor our assistants. And there's just feels like there's a lot of accountability and good community in the WPGA. So we wanted to take that and translate it to your personal fitness. So we went ahead and we created, and I'm going to pull up my phone here for a second. We created a Strava group. So on my phone here, if you're not familiar with Strava, it's one of the great like social medias for physical fitness. And I went ahead and I created a group called WPGA Members and Associates. So I'm going to encourage everybody, and I'll hop on one more time at the end. I'm going to encourage everybody to grab their phone, download the app called Strava, make an account. It is free. It can be paid if you'd like. There's some other features that unlock, but it is a beautiful like social media platform for physical fitness. It's a way for when you do an activity, it might be walking a golf course or going for a run, that will upload. You'll be able to keep all of your stats, and then obviously you'll be able to see everybody else's as well. So you might create a little fun internal competition of, oh, I saw, Andrew Krugler from Nakoma. I know he's already in the group. He's a big Strava user. I saw him go for his run club. That's going to motivate me to run. I know it keeps me honest in all of my physical fitness. So we maybe will touch on Strava one more time at the end. Looks like Mike is still struggling a little bit. However, I am going to call him, and I believe he is going to be able to talk through my cell into my microphone, and I think it's going to work. So we're going to give this a try here. So, Mike.
Garrett, I can see everyone, and I think I fixed everything, but is it not working for you?
Let's see. I'm going to get the cell phone off. Give us something here, Mike. I think it was good working from when I had you on speaker.
It's not working through that. So okay, yeah.
So I think guys can hear you. Maybe yeah, it's good on the phone. I'm getting chats that we're good on the phone. So I think you rock and roll right from the phone, and guys can hear you. So Mike Steinmetz, I'm gonna let you rock and roll, man.
All right, and then so nobody can see me, so I can do whatever I want on the side.
You can do whatever you want. I mean, we see you up on your phone there, but
good.
Yeah, but rock and roll.
Okay, thank you. All right, sorry about this, guys. A little technical difficulties this morning or afternoon, but really my goal in talking with everyone, if you can, do I have a mixture of female pros? I quick scroll through to see how there are both women and men on here.
We might have a couple gals on here. It looks mostly like it's a male crew as I'm scrolling through attendance.
Okay, if there is no females, then I can omit those sections when it pertains to fitness.
We have Becky. We have a couple gals in here. We got Becky. Good.
All right. So real quick intro for everyone here. I know some of you. My name is Mike Steinmetz. I went to undergrad at Concordia University, studied ex-phys, got a master's in kinesiology, did a short stint in the Navy, came back and started a gym. I'm very lucky right now to work with a lot of the local pros, both from with seeing some of their clients and as well as seeing a lot of people in the golf world with fitness. I'm not trying to make this pertain just to fitness and golf, but there's a lot of overlap, so that's why I wanted to talk about it. Is this still going fine? Can everyone hear me fine?
We're perfect. We're perfect.
All right.
I'll monitor the chat. Chat, obviously speak up if we're having troubles. But yeah, you are good.
Really, the big thing that I like to start with is I know that TPI's kind of run over the world as of lately in the last decade, a little longer. And I know there's probably many pros that have TPI certification. I know they have the golf, the fitness scenarios. I've gone through the fitness scenarios years in the past. I have with the credentials, but I have all basic screen, what that goes through with everyone. And I think it's a great start when it's relative to fitness and how your body moves. So I really want to talk about the major principles that I talk about with all of my clients. The first thing is that the only program that works for you is the one that you're willing to do. It does not need to be a lot. It can be as little as brisk walks throughout the day, mobility, flexibility, whatever helps you improve your health span or your quality of life can be a great start to any program, and it can go off from that point. So when I talk to everyone about this, we always want to crawl before we walk before we run mentality, because people that come in my door cross many paths of they're highly experienced, no experience at all, or one of each of those, and they've been injured in the past, and they have things we have to troubleshoot. And in today's day and world, in the fitness industry and supplements, we are heavily inundated with fast results for the least amount of work. And the idea of a fast change is not likely. However, improving things throughout your lifestyle is a great start, and then you can always adjust from there based on your interest or what you like out of it. So I like to start everything with my 3 basic principles in any program that I offer anybody. And this covers general health, fitness, sports performance, or any level of athleticism or that people are partaking in. And the TPI does talk about this. We also talked about this in grad school. So the number 1 principle is range of motion or mobility. If you don't have it, we need to get that for you. And in most cases, over 70% of all people's chronic issues of pain or any type of deficiencies can be fixed with a proper flexibility and mobility program. That alone is a gold standard. Number 2 is stability or balance. In our realm, we like to call it proprioception. So we accomplished the range of motion, and now we want to accomplish stability within that range of motion. The best analogy I can give is if people are familiar with the back squat and they only do a quarter squat and they're strong in that small range, they're only accessing approximately probably 50% of what their body can produce. So what would be better is we give them a full range of motion squat that's pain-free, proper technique, And then we want to gain that strength throughout the full range of motion. That is just a very quick, broad analogy that is extremely effective. Maybe in the golf swing, you have someone who can't get into a full backswing without discomfort or pain, and then their body compensates, and then they develop these issues. So the first bet is I have to give them the range of motion, pain-free, then provide it stability, and then we can work strength and power from that point forward. So again, the flexibility and the mobility are the number one pillar of building the foundation. And then we also coincide that with stability. Your body does not like to go into a range of motion unless it has stability within the range of motion. My other example, and I'll use golf because everyone here knows golf, is if now Jack, who couldn't get into a full backswing, now I give him range of motion to get into a backswing, but now I don't focus on any stability, his body will not tap into that range of motion because it's not stable to him. So it then becomes reduced. And then if you take that a step further with improper programming, I now strengthen him in this tiny range of motion, which then I just made him a little bit worse from where they started, because now they're strong in that area and they are far more deficient in the areas that we need to focus on. So that, again, is the three basic principles that I follow. Literally everybody, it doesn't matter what they do or what their interests are. You need range of motion, then stability and range of motion, and then you can work these strength and power. And that can be done in the most advanced ways and as well as in a very laid back, easy way to implement it and to where it's not terrible. I like to cover that because that is actually what the TPI screen covers, which is also a functional movement screen that every physical therapist will do with their patients. TPI did a very good job of branding the golf with it and made a ton of money, and it was very good for them. So that is just a huge foundation with the starting of the program. And I'll get into where I think this can become easy and more attainable for people. And then you can meet it where your level you want to be, what you're willing to put in. I think a big misunderstanding in today is you do not need fancy equipment. It helps. It's nice. It might make it easier. They don't need to be long workouts, and I'll get into data points as to why that's true. And they do not need 8 million different exercise variations to achieve what you're trying to accomplish. We live in a world with social media. Everyone in the world is an influencer now. So they're all trying to make a mark, but it gets overcomplicated. So that is I think another starting foundational point that I hear clients come in and they're just overwhelmed and they don't know where to start. And really the starting point can be very simplistic. And then once you get into it, you can take it wherever you want. I just got my note sheet here, sorry. So that is the programming aspect that I run and follow. I want to talk a decent part about the nutrition aspect as well, but is this maybe a good time is there any questions regarding maybe programming or strength training or what? I do want to open this up if possible to kind of answer whatever people are thinking.
Yeah, definitely. We like to rock this as you type your questions into the chat. I've been monitoring the chat. Looks like we're clean so far. Again, as we get questions, obviously Mike wants us to be nice and interactive. So pop your questions in if you have. But so far, Mike, we're clean. I think you keep rocking here.
Okay, sounds good. So really the nutritional aspect has been things have changed a lot lately. There's a few big pillars that I follow that I trust every word they say. A lot of people may have heard of them. Andrew Huberman's huge. He's just well connected and extremely intelligent in the X physiology, and he ties a lot of it with the psychological component. Dr. Stacy Sims is a new leader in women's health, really, and a lot of the nutritional aspects have changed because most of the data previously has been male-driven data. So I do like to talk about that. And then the other one that I really do follow is Dr. Peter Attia. He's in a little bit of an issue with the Epstein files, but what he does and what he did professionally is still at the top. So what I like to cover in the nutritional aspect, which is very basic, and I'll cover the men and I'll see how that differs with females, is those big principles. And these three people I reference will talk about it all day. And it's in that they cover the same aspects. And that is, for men, restrictive eating is very beneficial. The old school fasting for full days or multiple days is not terrible for men in small amounts, but has been more debunked, where restrictive eating from 12 to 15 hours has been, to be very effective for males. That's a huge, easy starting point for anyone that is looking to shed a few pounds and or get into a better system that is in their working plan or workout plan that can help improve that process. An ideal schedule would be you stop eating after 7 p.m. and you don't start again until 10 a.m. or 11 the next day. Where some of that can be nitpicked is maybe a higher protein meal or shake that's low carb within that 15-hour window can also be very supportive. When I get into the protein goals, that is, again, the new big data points that are showing huge success. The old data used to point out that it was roughly 0.75 to 0.83 grams per body weight, per pound of body weight of protein. And that has changed completely for men and women. A goal to reach now is 1 gram per desired body weight, is what I tell people. So if you're trying to lose weight, you take that goal number, or if you're trying to gain weight, take the goal number, and you're trying to accomplish that protein goal every day. The other big point is, so I'll use a 180-pound individual as a reference. Your body can only maximally absorb probably around 40 grams for most of us, unless some of us are pushing the super heavyweight area, which is 300 plus. You could probably absorb up to 45 grams of protein per 3-hour seating or 3-hour window. So that doesn't mean you can have your 180 grams in one sitting. You can. It's not going to do anything for you, but be a lot of extra calories. An increased protein in your diet will help provide, it'll satiate you more, along with fiber, where most of the studies done that says if you can increase those numbers, you will eat less of junk food if you're trying to accomplish those goals. And I've seen people that just follow that recommendation for men and drink lots of water, which goes with hand in hand with everything. And you can really shed weight quickly. And that's not even counting calories. If you want to be more strict, you can count calories. Again, to recap, the major differences are protein consumption and how the nutrient timing with the restrictive eating is substantially effective. And I'll get into creatine as well after this, as far as supplements. For women, that was the old data points. For men, we just kind of have been refined. For women, it has changed dramatically as well for men. Restrictive eating is very non-effective for females. Dr. Stacy Sims has studied it to an extent where women are very opposite of men. They need to eat within the first hour of waking up, and they recommend 30 grams of carbohydrates, 30 grams of protein. It could be as simple as yogurt with a piece of toast. Not a lot, but that's what helps speed up their metabolism so that they don't go into a calorie deficit in the fasting, which then it increases their cortisol spikes, which is now throws everything off. And that's not counting when they talk about perimenopause, menopause, postmenopause. So even if there's not a lot of females here, you can take something for your own, if you have daughters or your wife. This data everyone should follow, regardless even if you're interested in exercising, because this is massively supportive in the last 2 years for sure. And the data points are huge of success. So for women, eat within an hour, still trying to get 1 gram of protein per desired body weight, which is contrary to what a lot of old things have been marketed to females, as well as the increased hydration. So the only thing that women shouldn't do that men see success in is restrictive eating. It hasn't been very effective. It's actually countereffective. The other thing that I like to talk about with nutrition, because it can be that easy, is the supplement world. It's one of the biggest industries. It's not regulated, so you get inundated with a ton of stuff. The number one supplement that is a gold standard, for sure, from, again, these 3 individuals I referenced, for males and females, is creatine. And the studies are going back and forth for males on how much. It seems to be more versus the 1 scoop a day, which is 3 to 5 milligrams. It's moving that way to be more. The bottom line, though, right now is everyone should take it probably 3 to 5 grams a day. It's also shown to have more cognitive benefits from a mental standpoint of being more alert, as well as for females, they even see a much bigger boost in the cognitive benefits. The next thing that I lead to with that is the source of creatine matters. So going to your local GNC or Costco and finding their supplement aisle is not always the safest thing to do unless you know what you're getting. And I do like to give this study as a background with creatine. As there was a study done 3 years ago where this organization that was running the study went to the GNC or your elite nutrition stores and grabbed every creatine off the shelf. And they ran it through their own third-party testing. And then they traced it back to their distributors. And the vast majority of them all came from the same distributor on a concrete slab in a warehouse in another country. And the reason I say that is there's only 2 that I trust that I found. That doesn't mean there aren't others, but they're third-party tested, and the quality of the source does matter in any nutritional value. Eating all your protein from McDonald's is not going to be as good as eating your protein from a local butcher you get or different vegetables from a farm that you grow yourself. It's a good start, but there are a massive difference in those. And the same happens in the creatine and the supplements as much as whey protein.
So Mike, we do have a question, and I want to pause this here because I want to get some stuff typed in the chat. We want the 3 names of those nutrition people again.
Yes. Dr. Peter Attia.
Peter, A-T-I-L-L-A, correct?
A-T-T-I-A.
A-T-T-I-A. Peter Attia, got the first one in the chat. Next one.
Yep. Andrew Huberman.
Andrew Huberman. Okay. And Stacy Sims, right?
Stacy Sims, yeah.
Two M's?
One M.
One M. Okay.
Either way, if you Google it, it'll
sure.
pop up, you know.
Okay, so we got those three in the chat. We do have a question in the chat, but then first, maybe you said you have 2 creatine brands you trust. Can I type those in the chat for the people?
Yeah. Thorne, THORNE.
Yep.
And that's their whole supplement line. It's third-party tested.
Okay.
And then Creo Pure.
Creo Pure.
Yep.
Okay.
Pure.
Yep. Very cool. So we've got some stuff logged in the chat here. And then I do have a question from Mr. Joaquin Diaz. So looks like he's one of your clients here. Can you talk quickly here about the difference between a golf specific workout versus a generic workout? How we might benefit from either of those? I don't know if you want to maybe first finish your nutritional piece, but we want to know I guess the differences of a generic workout versus maybe a golf specific workout.
Yeah, absolutely. So that is a good question. I think they're the same the way I handle it in my gym.
Cool.
Anyone can do what they want within their own workout. The priority being that the flexibility and mobility and stability have to coordinate with whatever strength program you're doing. That is probably the primary factor. What I do with a lot of my clients, I have people that don't golf that do very similar workouts as somebody comes in and says, I want a golf specific program that's going to make me swing faster and my back's not going to hurt and I can play 45 holes in one day and I'm fine. So there is a lot of crossover.
Cool. Very cool. And then getting back to, it sounded like you were about to get into proteins next.
Yes.
Very active chat. They want to know what whey proteins you trust and what are the good low cholesterol proteins. So maybe I'll let you go wild with protein shakes and good forms of protein.
Yeah. So there are better sources of protein out there than there are creatine so far. What I tell everyone when they're looking at protein or a protein powder, before I do that, any form of natural food is always a priority. You'll get more out of red meats. If you're a meat eater, you're going to get tons of amino acids. You don't get that out of the plant-based, so you'd have to supplement that. But supplementing should never replace natural foods, to preface that. It is hard to meet these protein goals without having a supplement shake that you want to go with. And what I tell everyone, I have one favorite that's for me that's in Wisconsin. I know the owner, it's a family farm, and then he started this supplement line. However, anything that has a fewest amount of ingredients is what I tell people. If you look at your ingredient label and there's over 10 or more, and you can't pronounce the words, chances are it's mostly man-made chemicals. So whey is it's probably the standard. A lot of people can't take whey. Then you can find there's many good organic plant-based proteins that are actually do their own testing and are reputable. I don't know if that answers the question, but few ingredients and a whey source isolate is ideal. And if you can find something that has is not super high in sugar, ideally.
Cool.
It might be a little bit, or if the source of sweetener is of natural, that's ideal.
Nice. And then maybe the second piece of that question, good low cholesterol protein options. I'm assuming the question comes from I don't want to eat red meat. Other good low cholesterol proteins from animals.
So there is many good plant-based proteins to follow if you're not a meat eater. My wife does that. She's not a huge meat eater. She can handle more chicken. That's about it. But when we look at plant-based protein, the only thing that I do like to point out, because I'm not anti any of it, It's just you now have to pay attention to the calorie consumption more.
Mm-hmm.
To accomplish the same protein markers, you will have to intake more calories. Now, this means you have to be more restrictive and probably outside food choices. I don't know if that answers.
Yeah, and maybe that'll lead into a question here that I'll propose on behalf of the chat. So we're talking about calories and protein. So if I look at a bag of seeds here and I go, oh, this is awesome. There's 10 grams of protein in it, but I've got the calories are at 290. I don't I don't know if that's good or bad. My first time ever looking at a nutrition label. Um, what's a great calorie to protein ratio?
Yeah, so that's a very good question. So I tell people there's 4 calories in 1 gram of protein. So if you just take your grams of protein times 4 and then subtract that from the serving size, you get a good idea of how much total calories you're getting. But total protein should account for around a third of your total intake, maybe a little less, which then should be carbs and fats, and more carbs, less fats, and high quality fats. But it's not, I tell people you don't need as much as you think. I know that's hard in our world today when everything's served in giant portions. But if you actually I don't count calories. I don't encourage my clients to count calories. I also will tell people if they have a hard time is count calories for 1 week. It will give you an outline of where you're at, and then you can gauge from that. But the simple math is there's 4 calories in 1 gram of protein. You could take your daily amount and say, oh, if I'm 200 pounds, you're talking about 800 calories in protein.
Yeah, yeah, very cool. Todd Smith has a great question here. So he's trying to work out if 180 is the goal for what he wants to weigh. So you're saying you should be looking at he's thinking four full meals of 45 grams of protein in that meal, spaced every 3 hours, and then basically sleeping is his fast. Is that a fair attempt? Four meals at about 40 grams of protein per meal.
That is 100% correct.
Okay, very cool. I think we're good. I think we're good. Keep cruising. We're getting really good here. Great questions, chat.
Yeah, so I to go off that, I think that's a good, because people sometimes see it as very hard to accomplish that protein goal, and the question I get asked is when you see very large built bodybuilders who are competing, who maybe weigh in the mid to high 200s with a very low lean muscle tissue, they say, how is it possible that they accomplish that? And I tell people they set a schedule and alarm throughout the night, because I've been with a couple people that have competed at high levels, and they literally are on a 24-hour schedule of getting enough protein in a day. Now, they're not eating surplus calories, so they don't need to do a restrictive diet. But that is an example. So that is a perfect example of breaking it down to hit your goals. And I also tell people if you're trying to reach those goals, you will be eating less overall because you're hitting these protein goals. It's filling you up, and you're not going to eat a massive amount in excess.
Mm-hmm. And I think I think maybe somebody who's maybe thinking about this for the first time, they go for a 45 gram protein meal. Is that even possible? I had a piece of I had like from Walmart, a nice frozen piece of swordfish, 33 grams of protein. I basically did it. I add one little side and I'm there. So I think maybe for people who have never really tried to track their protein, if you eat the right thing, which is what Mike is saying, it happens almost naturally.
That's correct. And that's a good point, Derek, is I've done all this, you don't need to do it. I put the amount of food on a scale to see what the protein consumption is. It is far less than what you think. It is a 6-ounce steak will give you over your protein goal.
Mm-hmm.
So this idea of I need to eat a huge amount is not true. It is, unfortunately, more true through vegetables and plant based. It is not true with meat
Mm-hmm.
and animal protein. The other thing that I do point this out is, as far as nutrition, is the GLP-1s have been insane successful at losing weight, whether people want to debate it's healthy or not. The reason people lose weight is because they eat far less. Okay, so the calories in have to be less than calories out if you're going to lose weight in any capacity. These eating recommendations or protein recommendations, like to your point, Derek, they naturally will happen
Mm-hmm.
if you try to follow them as much as you can.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get them every day, but it does make a difference. Every little bit does.
Definitely. Yeah. We're clean. Keep going. We've caught up.
Perfect. So that's kind of the overall spiel I get. Outside of that, the few data points that I like to talk about is one day a week is far more beneficial than nothing of activity. Twice a week is almost double that of once a day. And then as you implement more, it does not have to be high intensity workouts all the time. That's where people kind of get, they get uneasy about they think they're going to have to go somewhere and kill themselves. And that's not the truth. Any little bit that you do in conjunction with this kind of nutritional outline will yield results. It is that basic. I really would like to. Is there any questions? There's many reasons why different programs work. For instance, CrossFit in the past was super effective. It was all about community until everyone got annihilated. If you didn't have a competitive background in Olympic lifting or powerlifting, you were going to hurt yourself. But what kept people there was the community. So it shows you how important the community is. So you surround yourself with people that are like-minded or are trying to accomplish the same things. And it does lead to results, I think.
Yeah, no, I love that. We're still cleaning the chat. We got about 15 minutes before I'm going to do some closing here. Did you want to switch to some of the fitness side and just what a basic week would be, just even 2 days a week of doing stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd give an outline. Again, I can't stress enough how much the mobility and range of motion plays a difference, especially as we age, everybody. As we age, our joint spaces all tend to get more arthritic. It's normal. It happens to everybody. Everyone has some form of arthritis as they age. The only thing that helps them is increased range of motion, which decreases the joint tightness and compression of the muscles pulling on the joint, as well as just movement, which activates as lubrication for the synovial fluid in the joint space. So any form of light activity with stretching or mobility exercises, which can be as simple as, I say it's more dynamic, walking lunges, deep squats, overhead presses with broomstick, will have massive benefits down the road. Stretching can be wherever you need it, but I'm very particular with stretching with clients. Nobody likes to do it. It's boring. So I give a stretching program definitive to what they need the most. And I find the follow-through is much more successful. And it works. The other thing that I would say is any form of foam rolling. Again, I know some people may have never heard of it. Some people do it a lot. There's extremely effective techniques that eliminates back pain, joint pain, and overall it will help tremendously. What I tell people is if you don't have a diagnostic issue meaning you have pins in your shoulders or knees, you don't have a herniated disc, or even if you do in this regard, foam rolling, stretching, mobility will fix 90% of it by yourself. And then you have a good PT that can do some hands-on therapy if needed. That is my big sell to everybody, whether it's for any level of performance, golf, or general health. And then as they get into it, strength training should be a staple. It's seen as one of the number ones. Dr. Stacy Sims, Dr. Attia, Huberman say the same thing. It is seen as the miracle exercise overall, strength training, that is a cure for almost everything within the right programming, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
So really once to twice a week is plenty. 30 minutes is plenty. And I think you'd be surprised. It doesn't have to be a ton. If you want more, you can find the guidance, hopefully. And then you can roll with it wherever you want.
Sure. We do have a question. Does a
Yeah.
Theragun, do the vibration guns work the same as a foam roller?
They work similar. They're much easier to use because you can sit on the couch and use it. I like to prioritize foam rolling, Theragun, and then stretching based on what's needed. The foam rolling is no different than a deep tissue massage or active release technique. You just use your own barometer as how much does this hurt? If it hurts, you need to do it. That's what foam roll.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's literally just breaking up the contusion of the muscle to allow blood flow. And it will loosen up that whole muscle from the insertion points on both ends. So that's me.
Mm-hmm.
Most people don't like to foam roll because it is painful. And so then I'm like, then you use the Theragun.
Sure.
Because it is and some people might argue it's better. For me and what I've seen, it's not because it's the repetitive.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if that answers the question.
No, it did. We gotta thank you in the chat. Yeah, keep rocking. If you have a few minutes of more stuff, you can go, or we can do.
To hear in more detail.
Yeah, let's see.
People throw it out.
Yeah, we'll wait in the chat here.
So then,
absolutely,
we can get as detailed as people want, or if they have a particular question pertaining to themselves, I guess.
Yeah, let's see if anything comes up in the chat. I think this has been awesome so far. Maybe you and I talked a little offline way at the start of this as we were talking about, protein and all your goals for calories. And we talked a little bit about like what actually is losing 1 pound, right? What does that actually mean? How many calories is that?
Yeah.
What type of deficit, and what actually is 1 pound lost?
So there's 3,500 calories in 1 pound. That's also, so that's a good spin off this, because I get clients that come in and they weigh themselves daily, which I don't recommend ever, but so they come in and they say, yesterday I weighed 150, today I weighed myself and I'm 154, and they're freaking out. And I'm like, well, this is how much fluid retention matters and what your diet was that played a role the day before, because there's no way you ate over 13,000 calories in a 24-hour window. But if you had something high in sodium for dinner, that could be pizza, pretzels with ranch. It's a big favorite for my kids, unfortunately. And you eat a large amount, the next morning you will be heavier, because any fluid you drink is going to be retained in your body because sodium retains water. So
yeah, cool. We got 2 questions here. One,
awesome.
We got a lot here. So I think we keep answers to 90 seconds like you've been doing, and we're going to get through a bunch here. So first one, best way to help sciatic nerve issues.
Is going to be the stretching and the foam rolling.
Where should I foam roll?
Glutes, hips, and quads.
Okay. Can you dive into the importance of working with a real qualified individual? And this is Gunnar, who maybe you know, the Johannes Klebo example.
Yeah, yeah. So this will be longer than 90 seconds.
That's
Is there
okay.
something else you want me to answer first?
Yeah, we'll go to one here. A cardio. Now this is getting into cardio workouts.
Yeah.
How much do you recommend in a session? How often? What types? Hit, jogging, rowing, anything
Yep.
beneficial, anything to be avoided? Maybe this is a good zone 2 chat for a couple minutes.
I was going to go to zone 2 real quick.
Yeah, let's do that.
For males, zone 2 is super effective. What zone 2 is, you're working at a capacity, if you don't want to measure your heart rate, is where you can hold a conversation with a friend without wanting to stop, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
It's that borderline when you start jogging with a friend and you're starting to breathe too heavy and they're talking to you and you're telling yourself in your head, stop talking to me because it's too hard right now. That is outside zone 2. You want to be in that category where you can hold a conversation. The recommendations are 3 days a week for 45 minutes. That literally can be walking on the treadmill at an incline, a light jog for someone who's in really good shape. For bikers, it could be more spinning.
Mm-hmm.
But 45 minutes, 3 days a week of zone 2 has been very effective for males. That does not, so with HIIT training, they would say once a week of true high intensity is also beneficial. What is counter beneficial is everything's high intensity.
Mm-hmm.
It will just run you in the ground. It doesn't feel good, and you're going to want to quit. It doesn't keep you committed. For women, zone 2 is still better than nothing. However, they do not get the same benefits as men do. And that's simply because they have much higher mitochondria, which is aerobic based, where men are less mitochondria, where we can help stimulate our mitochondria through zone 2. So that's why it's very effective.
Very cool. Yeah. No, absolutely. That was a great answer. And then, yeah, we haven't had any questions since the Gunner question. So, why is a qualified individual so important?
So if people have been watching the Olympics and the cross country skiing, Johannes Kleibo of Norway has won 5 golds this year. He's going for his 6th on Saturday. He's already the most decorated Olympian in the winter, second to Michael Phelps now in all of them. And a quick backstory is I have a couple PTs that I work with that knew this one lady used to own a PT facility in Brookfield. She retired, sold it, moved to Utah. Johannes Kleibo, after the last Olympics, did well. I think he won 3 gold, a bronze, a silver. So very decorated, seen as one of the best in Norway, was kind of getting a lot of chronic injuries. So Norway pumps out cross-country skiers like no other. They kind of more or less pushed him to the side. They said, we have 3 to the pipeline. You've hit your peak. We're good. And that was when he was 25. So he gets connected with this physical therapist I know in Utah because he trains in Utah. And he comes back to the States in the off season, and he's all a little messed up as far as physiological, like I'm just to say muscle-wise, imbalances. And he gets connected with this physical therapist, and she says, let me treat you for a week, and we'll see what happens. She fixed the majority of his issues in 1 week of proper physical therapy treatment, which consisted of more hands-on modalities and proper training techniques. He was very strong in the muscles he used, extremely weak in the antagonist groups. I know Megan. I met with Megan. She met with me, and she showed me Johannes' program. This would be 3.5 years ago. And their program in Norway, at their sports performance program, both from a PT based and a strength and conditioning, is from the Stone Age, to say the nicest. So Johannes now hires Megan, the PT, full time individually. He's on his own, still represents Norway. He's slowly making a rise back through the years. Last year at the World Championships, he swept all 6 races. This year in the Olympics, if you've seen him, if you haven't, I'd highly encourage you to go watch. He's at the top of his level at the age of 29. And it all that was changed was his physical therapy program and his strength and conditioning program, where everyone else wrote him out, and now he's hopefully going to collect this 6 gold medal. And he's also one of the only racers that races all 6 events. Most people don't have the discipline to do everything. So that it is a good story.
Yeah, and it shows how, yeah, it shows how, again, how simple it can be. Just doing the right things. He also runs uphill on skis at a 5-minute mile pace. I would challenge anybody to go to a track and just run 400 meters flat at a 5-minute mile pace. That is insane. No, very cool. We're getting right to the end here. So this has been by far the most interactive chat we've had. Where can people find you if they want to keep going with the Mike Steinmetz program?
Yeah, that would be great. Do you want to just give my name and contact info, I guess? Is that?
Yeah, let's do that. So I'll type out your name one time here in the chat, and then maybe an email address for you.
Yeah, MS at Pure Fitness.
Yep.
PURE Fitness WI.com.
There we go. It is in the chat. This has
to talk to anyone. So
this has been awesome. Again, I'll just wrap up here.
The technical difficulties.
No, this worked out perfect. I think everybody heard you loud and clear. Yeah, we're getting messages in the chat. Best in the business is what you've been called. So we want to thank
a good friend, so.
we want to thank you for your time. Again, I will type into the chat one more time just the name of the app, Strava. This is our community aspect here. So this is how we're gonna keep each other accountable. Take 5 minutes to download the app and get comfortable with it. I want to see everybody posting some weightlifting or even just walking around of golf. You can count that. For all of us, because this is the final winter seminar series, for all of us here at the Education Committee, we want to thank everybody who came along for the ride of all 10. I think they probably were the highest averaged ones ever in terms of attendance. We barely ever were in the 30s. Maybe our first one was in the 30s. Since then, we basically hit 50 on every single one. So this has been a ton of fun. Being your host, again, Jonathan Stewart, another co-chair of the Education Committee behind the scenes, doing all the attendance, getting your PDRs all squared away. It was a real treat from all of us on the Education Committee. Thank you, everybody, for allowing us to do this. Thank you for tuning in. And Mike, thank you for taking us home on episode 10. And hopefully we see everybody at the awards dinner. So Jonathan will be ending the session. And really, thank you, everybody. This was so fun this winter. Thank you, guys.